Hey everyone, I'm so excited to be here with you today. My name is Megan, and today we're going to learn how we can sing in our head voice. So, this is super important because let's be honest, there are some notes that we will not be able to sing in our chest voice because they're too high. But head voice is really good. It gives you this very pure and light, beautiful sound. And so, I want to show you guys two exercises today that can help with our head voice. But before we get into that, let's go over the three mechanisms that make up the voice. So we have the respirator, which are the lungs, and these power the vocal cords. Very important. We would not be alive if we did not have lungs because we need to breathe. And then we also have the vibrator, which are our vocal cords, which is really important because the vocal cords regulate that airflow that's provided by our lungs. And then we have our resonators, which our resonators are our nasal cavities. So they're basically these open spaces that we can fill up with air that create these different sounds. And so these three mechanisms work together in a very specific and special way when we are in our head voice. And so when we are in our head voice, our airflow needs to be consistent. It's very important that the airflow is consistent and that it's sent behind our nose and into these open spaces in our head. And so even if you can even just say the sound like who and you hold the back of your head, you do this, say whoo. It's really cool because you can feel it like coming all the way around and into like behind your eyes and then like behind your nose. It's really cool because this is the open space that you want to use when you're in your head voice. And so when we're using this airflow needs to be consistent. We should be able to feel it being filled in these open spaces behind our nose, behind our eyes, the top and the back of our head. That's where you should be able to feel that airflow hitting up in there. And then also during this time, we have your vocal cords will be they'll start to stretch out and they'll get thinner as they're being stretched out when you're singing in your head voice. And as they're zipping up, you're only working with this like tiny zipped up portion when you're in your head voice. And so this is really cool because I used to think, I'm like, okay, if I'm singing really high, I need so much air to hit that high note. When in reality, it's like, no, you're only working with this tiny zipped up portion. So you really just need a good regulated airflow. So that's super important because your vocal cords, if you have massive air, they're just gonna do bad things. And so we want to make sure we have a really good regulated airflow. That's super important because your vocal cords need it and they're the ones doing it, and it's really good. And then also during this time, your resonators, your nasal cavities should be filled. So just what we were talking about earlier, you want to make sure that air is hitting these open spaces. You should be able to feel it behind your eyes, behind your nose, the top and the back part of your head. It should be filling up that air, and you should be able to feel it. You should be able to feel it when you're singing in your head voice. And so I have two exercises that I want to show you that can help practice your head voice. And the first exercise is called the Hootie exercise, which is really fun, even just to say Hootie. It's kind of fun. But all you're going to do is to make a who sound like an owl. And it's really important when you're doing this exercise to sound very kind of like proper. Your throat should be opened. The H, you want to press the H behind the nose. This should relax your vocal cords. You want to make sure that the tip of your tongue stays behind your teeth. And also, when you're doing this exercise, you want your face to be very narrow and tall, which this can help so much. If you put your hands on your face like this, and you say who, like whoo, whoo, and it just helps keep your face very narrow and tall, so you can get this very light, clear sound. You don't want to hear anything edgy. You want everything to be very light and open. So we can practice this on a scale. So let's see if I can pull this scale up, just like this. This is a really good scale to practice on. Ooh. That's really, really good. So see how the sound is very light, it's very bright, and it's very proper too. And I think what can also help with doing these exercises to help you get you in your head voice is to even put on a character. Like if you've ever seen the movie Mrs. Doubtfire, Robin Williams plays in it, and it's fantastic. And he plays this very proper, like English older woman, and she'll always be like, "Hello!" And it's just really, really funny. So that might can help you kind of get into this head voice and help you sing in your head voice. And then we also have our second exercise, which is called the goos. And I really, really love the goos because they help so much with vocal cord closure. So like we were saying earlier, whenever your vocal cords at this time when you're in your head voice, they're like really, really zipped up, they're stretched, they're thinned out, they're zipped up, and you're only working with this like tiny portion up here. And so it's really hard to make sure your vocal cords come together in that closure. And so goos help with this because goo is a consonant, and so you can't say goo without your vocal cords coming together. So it's really, really cool to practice this on a scale to help build your head voice. So it's really, really cool. So when you're saying goo, you want to make sure that the air hits your soft palate. You shouldn't feel anything in your throat. All the air should like hit your soft palate. It should be effortless. Just keep thinking light. Everything should be light. If it's light, it's right. It's really, really good. And make sure that you're dropping your jaw during this exercise so you can get that nice sound so the air can hit that soft palate. So it can also really help you too if you do the goos in a very short and staccato way. So we can practice this as well on a scale, and we can do it together, and you can do this in your own time, and I hope that it can really help you out. That's really, really, really good. And also make sure that when you're doing your scales, even when the scale is going lower, we have a tendency to want to switch into our chest voice, but make sure you still stay in that head voice, that very proper, very light, clear sound. So I hope that this video helped you guys so much, and I hope you have a great day. Y'all are awesome. Thank you so much for watching.